We have been working alongside of the Polestar Zero project. They're trying to produce a carbon neutral vehicle, which they call the Polestar Zero. And they also want to, eventually be a carbon neutral manufacturer.
That's Cole Gibbs, founder and CEO of Dama BioPlastics in Colorado. This is the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. My name is Eric Harlock, and today I will be talking with Cole Gibbs along with his Director of Material Sciences at Dama, Adam Dietrich. As you heard in the intro there, Dama BioPlastics has partnered with Swedish automaker Polestar on their Polestar Zero project, which, according to Polestar's website, will eliminate, not reduce, all greenhouse gas emissions from every aspect of production, from conception all the way to consumer delivery. Our target will be met without resorting to offsetting until there are solutions with proven results in place. Zero will mean zero, they say. So that's super ambitious, and I love it. Imagine the implications for every other car maker, every other production line. This is exciting. Dama BioPlastics is one of Polestar's first North American partners. So we're going to hear about Dama today, how they make bioplastic from upcycled agricultural waste, including industrial hemp. I'll have a few updates for you and maybe a nugget of hemp news or two, so stay tuned. We'll be right back after these messages. This episode is brought to you in part by Impactful Ventures, an investment and incubation company focused on supporting startups and other initiatives that play a vital role in mitigating the adverse effects of climate change. At Impactful Ventures, they strive to amplify enterprises that bring innovative, green opportunities to the forefront and empower those making a significant impact for a sustainable future. You can learn more at impactfulventures.org. This episode is brought to you in part by I&D Hemp in Fort Benton, Montana, where they believe in the goodness of hemp. I&D Hemp is a family-owned, mission-driven, and environmentally focused industrial hemp food, feed, and fiber company, providing new opportunities for farmers and rural communities. Their mission is to provide innovative agricultural products and services to connect American farmers with the pioneers and businesses that see hemp as a way to bring real and lasting change to our communities and planet. Learn more at indhemp.com. Today's show is also brought to you in part by Cornell University's College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, where you can get a Master's of Professional Studies in Integrative Plant Sciences with a concentration in hemp science. You'll learn about production and processing methods, soil science, genetics, and a whole lot more. You will be supported by world-class faculty at a world-class facility. The application deadline for the fall semester 2024 is this coming February 15th. So go to hemp.cals.cornell.edu to learn more. Imagine how a year in Ithaca could change your life and propel you to a successful career in the hemp industry. Okay, welcome back. So here it is, the day before Thanksgiving 2023. Time is moving so fast now. It's going to be the new year in the blink of an eye, which is why I love this time of year so much. Yes, I love the feasting with friends and family, but I also really love that as a culture we have this time set aside to think about what we're thankful for and what it means to be thankful. And so I'm going to indulge in a little bit of that here because I am thankful for so much. I feel in my heart a deep thankfulness for the world and the people in it. I am especially thankful for the people in the hemp industry who continue to inspire me with your hard work and creativity and desire to create a better world for us all. I am thankful that I've gotten to know some of the people in this space and we have developed meaningful friendships. I am thankful for this platform, this podcast that has opened the world up to me in a way that I never expected. I am thankful to the leadership here at Lancaster Farming for their continued support of what I'm doing here, and to my editor Steve Sieber, who encourages creativity and sees possibility where others might not, and to my whole team at Lancaster Farming. I work with a great bunch of people at a great organization doing great work. I'm grateful to my wife for her continuing support and perspective, and to my daughters who challenge me, surprise me, make me laugh, always make me want to be a better person, and inspire me to do the best I can. I was thinking about gratitude on my drive in this morning. At every moment, there is an opportunity to be grateful for something. The light, the color, the landscapes, the skyline, the clouds. I know this world is crazy now. There's people suffering, countries at war, so much uncertainty, and that ever-present feeling of chaos about to erupt. 2024 is on the horizon. It's a leap year, an election year here in the States, and I know we are in for a wild ride. I choose to remain optimistic. Deliberate, intentional optimism. It's the only way forward. And that's what I love about the hemp industry. Passionate people working against all odds to make a better world. I'm grateful to all of you in the hemp industry for your vision, your hard work, and your community. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Okay, so how about a few nuggets of hemp news? Here's a story from Alaska Public Media. The headline reads, Alaska hemp producers sue state saying new ban on products is illegal. It's by Michael Finelli from Alaska Public Media in Anchorage. I'll just read the beginning of it here. It says that Alaska's hemp industry sued the state earlier this month over new regulations that ban many of their products. The lawsuit targets the state's Department of Natural Resources, whose new regulations say hemp products can no longer contain any amount of THC. Hemp and marijuana are the same species of plant, and while hemp contains far less of the psychoactive chemical THC and has been touted for its industrial applications, THC can still be extracted from it to yield intoxicating products. The new rules were championed by producers of legal recreational marijuana who say the hemp industry became a competitor when it started selling intoxicating products, which were not subject to age limits and higher taxes. So the rest of this story is an interview between the writer Mike Finelli and James Brook, a reporter from the Alaska Beacon who has been covering the lawsuit. So check it out. I'll have a link to it on the show page at lancasterfarming.com. And while we're up here in Alaska, I want to give a quick shout out to listener and supporter, hemp grower and hay farmer Ray DePriest at Sunray Hemp. Thanks, Ray. Hope you're having a great holiday. Okay, so from Alaska, now let's go to Italy, where Hemp Today is reporting that the northern Italian region of Emilia-Romagna has provided 500,000 euros in financing for the development of a local industrial hemp supply chain focused on building materials and textiles. The investment in hemp and natural fibers will make it possible to outline a perspective for the future, according to Pro Canapa, a committee that is leading the region's hemp initiatives. The group said that the funding will help in efforts to establish more ecological construction and fashion sectors. Yeah, there is a whole lot more to this story, so go click on that link at lancasterfarming.com. One more thing I wanted to mention. Last week, I had the opportunity to go magnet fishing with an old friend of mine and his brother. I made a 5-minute documentary about our expedition, and my friend Greg outlines these 3 basic rules of magnet fishing. And, within a few minutes, his brother proceeds to break all the rules. So the whole thing is funny. The whole expedition ends with me wading out into the Schuylkill River, which, by the way, looked a whole lot shallower from up on the bridge. So I waded into the river to rescue the magnet that got stuck. You can see that video at the Lancaster Farming YouTube page, and I might embed it on the show page for this episode as well. Okay, let's get on with the show. We're going to go talk to Cole and Adam from Dama BioPlastics. Here we go. Adam Dietrich and Cole Gibbs, welcome to the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Thank you.
Great. Glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with some introductions. You guys are from a company called Dama, based in Colorado. So let's first start with Cole. Why don't you introduce yourself for us?
Yeah, my name is Cole Gibbs. I'm the founder and CEO of Dama BioPlastics, specializing in sustainable biomaterials.
Excellent. And Adam Dietrich, you were on our show a couple of years ago, I guess 3 years ago now. You were working on a project called Reblocks, where you were milling CBD biomass and adding it to plastic for blocks. But things change. You're always evolving. So welcome back to the show, Adam. Why don't you reintroduce yourself for us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me back. My name is Adam Dietrich, Director of Material Science for Dama BioPlastics.
All right. Well, first obvious question, what is Dama BioPlastics?
Yeah, so we specialize in biomaterials, bioplastics, all upcycled from agricultural or plant waste, one of which being industrial hemp. Then we convert that material into usable drop-in replacements for automotive plastics, but also the construction industries.
Okay. So what you're taking the fiber, all the biomass, and you're milling that up. Tell me about the process, how you're using hemp for plastic.
Yeah, so we take in pretty much any part of the plant, really, whether it's pre or post extracted, whole stalk. Really doesn't matter to us as long as it's not overly contaminated or already composting. We then basically superheat that material to remove any of the cellulose and hemicellulose, and you're essentially left with pure carbon or biogenic carbon. So carbon that's been sequestered out of the atmosphere using photosynthesis. So the plants store and create, the stock or the plant itself. That material, once it's been carbonized, it gets micronized and classified depending on the end application, one of which being automotive plastics for interiors and exteriors to reduce the footprint of traditional petroleum plastics, which on average, depending on the resin you're using, has a carbon footprint of +2 to +3. So working with our material, which we call Dama Black, allows manufacturers to greatly reduce their footprint without changing any of their manufacturing processes.
Awesome. And that's like a one-to-one replacement?
Yeah, direct one-to-one replacement for carbon black. Carbon black is a fossil fuel byproduct, basically the soot inside the chimneys when they're burning the material. And that gets added to plastics to generate the black colorant and UV protection. So any black plastic on the planet, from electronics to toys to automotive parts, has carbon black in it.
And you're saying that all of that carbon black could be replaced from plants, could be sourced from plants?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Eliminating that footprint, but also limiting that use of that petroleum-based product and switching over to a 100% plant-based carbon negative alternative like Dama Black.
Okay. So at Dama, you're using many different types of plants for this, or is it exclusively hemp?
Not specifically, only industrial hemp. It's one of the best that we've seen. Looking at a lot of different waste categories that we've come across in the past, in different cannabis plants that we've had tested and looked at different studies from the past. The carbon makeup of that plant is quite high, 40 to 45%. And so being able to collect those types of biomasses that right now don't have really any great outlets, and being able to upcycle that into a replacement product like this, we're trying to locate those types first and then work backwards. So other things that we've seen, forestry item, trees, as well as coffee chaff in different types of, I guess, waste categories that you see from the food industries, things like that.
All right. And you're both based in Colorado, and so the hemp that you're getting is from CBD and THC cannabis operations. So it's not necessarily industrial hemp, grown for fiber or hurd or grain, but it's just the cannabis industry, and you're scraping that waste and making it into something better.
Correct. Yeah, really have to be available to what's around us. In Denver, you've got so much more on the THC grow side. A big issue that you see with the industry is that the waste is abundant and there's only so many locations to take this, one of which being the landfill, the other compost. Composters are seeing horrible contamination issues with just a lot of different materials being brought in with the waste, such as plastic netting and gloves and tags. And so trying to take that in and really separate that after the fact is just another nightmare that creates more bottlenecks. When taking it to the landfill, you have to pay for that service, and as well, you're creating just more issues within that landfill, building up so much quicker and then creating those pockets. So we've just found a great outlet there, but really been able to learn quite a bit, between the times when, harvests just don't occur, with industrial hemp.
Yeah. So you're sort of taking the waste stream from these cannabis operations, and then are they paying you to take that? Because that sounds like a great plan if that's what's happening.
Yeah, that would be great if that was the option. No, we actually don't charge them. We work with the licensed haulers to be able to collect all that material legally within the state. The state has a lot of lofty goals for waste reduction and composting, so we're helping them eliminate all of that material from going to the landfill to begin with, and then converting it into a usable material, all while generating carbon credits and pulling carbon out of the atmosphere at the same time.
Right. That's awesome. And so I know there's like some sort of bigger news that we're working to in this conversation involving Polestar, but we'll get to that in a minute. But tell me about some of the things that you make from, that uses Dama Black or some of the other like plastic products you make.
Yeah, so we can blend the Dama Black biocarbon with any traditional petroleum plastic or bioplastics. So whether it's packaging or automotive plastics or construction plastics, we can be a drop-in replacement. If those manufacturers or compounders don't want to deal with the carbon powder, we can compound a master batch pellet for them and send that off, and they can do a drop-in replacement directly into their injection molding machines. Nothing has to change with what they are currently doing. So it makes it a really easy transition for companies that are looking to reduce their footprint without going from 0 to 100% bioplastics overnight, which has its own challenges. Okay. So this is an easier way for them to kind of slowly implement that into their manufacturing process.
Awesome. And if the supply was great enough, every plastic company could make this switch, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Whether at a small 10% level or even higher percentages, really depending on the end application. We've seen great benefits outside of what traditional carbon black can do, which is mainly a pigment and that UV protection. Mm-hmm. We've seen great weight reduction, increases in strength, but also making sure that they can do this in a very simple drop-in replacement way. They don't have to change their equipment or buy new molds or anything like that. And some of the other benefits we've seen is thermal resistance, which is great for electric vehicle manufacturers, but also the EMF blocking capabilities of the material, depending on what percentage you load that into.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's a really interesting material for even concrete 3D printing, for example, that wants to implement new materials and biomaterials into their manufacturing process.
Wow, that's fantastic. I'm sure you're familiar with the company Hemp Black. I think they're out of Kentucky. Is it a similar, material that you're creating?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like from what they're doing, it's similar, but I'm not sure what type of pyrolysis process they're using, because there's about a half a dozen different ways and then hundreds of variations of each one of those on how to produce biocarbon. But we'll definitely have to do some more research on what they're doing.
How similar is your process to making biochar?
Yeah, it's a very similar process. Biochar is really designed for agricultural purposes, also making sure that it works for water filtration, water hold in either agriculture or soil. We take that an even step farther than that, engineer it based on the pore structure of the material, particle size required for the end application, and really engineering the material for that specific application, whether it's plastics, pigments, rubbers, or concrete.
Okay.
Yeah, the specification range for biocarbons, and really what we've found through our studies, is so wide that really you have to kind of work backwards from what you're looking at the end product doing and the features needed, and then fitting that with the specified size of that carbon to meet that type of feature and enhancement, which is amazing that these types of biogenic carbons can do that. It just takes a little bit more of dialing it in and working it backwards, compared to then carbon black, which is very straightforward.
Yeah. Okay. So you've recently teamed up with Polestar, and that's an automaker who, I guess there's a few different Polestar models, but Polestar Zero is they're trying to achieve a carbon neutral, not just automobile, but like the whole supply chain from start to finish would be carbon neutral. And your company has been chosen to be part of that. So just tell me what that's all about. That's exciting. So congratulations, first of all, but what's going on here?
Yeah, thank you. We have been working alongside of the Polestar Zero project for about a year now or so. And like you said, they're trying to produce a carbon neutral vehicle, which they call the Polestar Zero. Right now, their lineup includes the 2 and 3 and 4. So they just announced will be coming out very shortly. They have plans for a 5 and 6 in 2025 and 2026. And they also want to, eventually be a carbon neutral manufacturer. So we were recently at Polestar Day in Los Angeles, showcasing our material, Dama Black, and one of the only, if not the only, exclusive North American partner for the Polestar Zero project for all of their electric vehicles going forward.
Oh, wow. And what would you be doing? What components of the car would you be involved in making?
Yeah, so anything that would be traditional petroleum plastic, whether that's interior pieces, your dash, the window switches, or exterior pieces that are used for black plastic trim pieces. We're even looking into the automotive tires and the rubber seals that go around the door frames and everything, and also working hand in hand with the Polestar Zero team to eliminate the massive volume of different types of polymers that are used in vehicles. It could be upwards of 40 or 50 different types. And we want to shrink that down into a smaller number so it's more easily recycled, but also reducing the footprint. Because some plastics have a massive footprint and really chemical intensive, where some are not quite as bad. So shrinking down that list of polymers allows them to sort that material when the vehicle's end of life happens.
Right. That's amazing. This technology, is that able to be sort of shared among other automakers, or do they own that? Or like how does that work, and how can we get what you're doing in every vehicle, not just Polestar vehicles?
Right. Yeah, we can actually provide either the Dama Black powder or the master batch pellets to the tier 1 manufacturers. Basically, how the automotive industry works is the quote unquote vehicle manufacturers really, more than anything, assemble the vehicles. And they work with what they call the tier 1 manufacturers that produce the actual bumper or the actual seat or seat belt, for example. And these tier 1 manufacturers supply pretty much the entire automotive industry. So working with Polestar allows us to really push sustainability forward and showcase to the other manufacturers that this is something that's very easily doable, and we can start implementing this in vehicles here in the U.S., not just in Sweden.
Right. As you can imagine, my interest here is not, I want to see hemp in the automobile industry in other ways, not just plastic. I love what you're doing. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to undercut that because I think it's awesome. But do you know if Polestar is getting, non-wovens in, or, hemp fabrics for their car? Are they doing composites for the body of the car? Do you know much about the rest of the vehicle?
That's our big push. That's really what we want to introduce to Polestar as, an alternative material that really can be utilized in a bevy of different ways throughout their supply chains. Providing them ASTM grade fiber is of necessity, and so really being able to not only achieve that, but achieve that on mass scale is something that we need to build up to. But for them, they're going to be producing and manufacturing Polestar 3 in the United States. And so for us to be able to introduce first Dama Black and then really gain, additional traction through their advanced innovation team and their advanced engineering program, we can, further their interest level on the fiber side, get into, much more closed loop supply chains that feed the production of the vehicle, but also really, exhaust the plant in full utilization, for the betterment of the industry.
Right. There's so many uses for the plant. It's like, well, actually, a couple of years ago when I interviewed you, it was a double episode. It was an interview with Dr. Ron Kander. He's a material scientist from Jefferson University. And the first time I talked to him, he explained it to me like it is like an oil refinery. The plants will come in and every part of it can be used. And it's an exciting time for this to be happening. So
he kind of gave me a good understanding when I was learning just all the abilities of hemp and how to do so within, a multi-facility type, production model. That's something that Polestar is actually looking at and trying to be so much more centralized within how they produce vehicles, not just singularly within one model, but, one after the next, trying to be much more efficient within their footprints. And so, this full utilization of the hemp plant, but also within these closed loop regional models, it's how you then get so much closer to carbon neutrality, carbon negativity. And when you can back that with carbon credit generation, that's a whole, other benefit that really can supply so much more support to the, farmers as well. Because I don't think everyone's looking at how to help the farmer outside of just the margins within the plant growth above ground. But if we look below and how we can benefit from the root systems and the carbon storage, we can really showcase how, every link in the supply chain can benefit from a double revenue, model where carbon credits can really, kind of fuel us in a different way.
Yep. Since you're using sort of a waste stream, does it matter what varieties are being grown here, or do you foresee a certain time where you'll want certain varieties grown by the farmers for you to use in your process, or does it not even matter at this point?
Well, for us, it's not a big deal now, and that was our big focus, is really trying to not wait on genetics, wait on those opportunities, but create the solutions now that can then lead us to what we need in genetics down the road. Fiber, getting into that's when we really focus on the genetics. As of now, it's helping farmers to locate outlets for the top third of that plant so that we can really benefit off of the seed, off of the flower, and have the, remaining part of the plant that is, usually burnt or sent to the landfill or the compost, for the long game of this, generation into what then can create, the second revenue lines like the carbon credits. But it's essential to really have solid outlets for the top third of the plant.
Okay. Do you have like a factory, or can you tell me about like the physical place where you do these processes, and do you have employees? Tell me a bit about the actual, physical company.
Yes, we process everything here in Colorado. Our biomass collection is within 150 miles of our facility to make sure that our footprint is as small as possible. We're generating enough and high quality carbon credits for our customers that are looking for that as well, outside of just the Dama Black material. We've set up a pretty good network here in the state. We can produce up to 13 million pounds of the material annually without further expansion. We are looking to expand some of the other processes here in Colorado, and we're looking at 2 other states to expand into to meet the demand of our customers. The traditional carbon black market is very, very large, about a $13-14 billion industry. So there's a lot of material that needs to be produced to offset that carbon positive material, and some of the big automotive manufacturers need thousands of tons, if not hundreds of thousands of tons of this material to be able to make that switch. So we're excited to continue growing and expanding, and hopefully that we can hire another group of people here in Colorado, and as well as new facilities outside the state of Colorado for the further expansion, and hopefully getting into other products outside of Dama Black. My understanding right now is the first time Polestar's ever announced using hemp or partnering with anybody that uses hemp for their vehicles. They do use flax and different natural materials for some of the other products they use now, but they're really looking forward to utilizing hemp in their vehicles and regional. Some biomass is better utilized and created in Europe or in China, where the batteries are produced. And then here in the US, we have a different type of feedstock and biomass, hemp being one of the largest, or cannabis being one of the largest ones here in the country that we have access to, that really works with what they are doing.
Okay. Cole, how did you get started in hemp? I mean, I imagine you have a background in engineering. Like, tell me sort of your creation myth, your origin story.
Yeah, so my background is actually the automotive industry. I used to also build hot rods and rock crawlers for a living. My emphasis in college was alternative fuels, so CNG vehicles, ethanol, even did hemp ethanol, hydrogen powered. So with that knowledge, I've always really focused on different ways of creating more sustainable vehicles or sustainable fuels, or the plastics that go into these vehicles to reduce the overall footprint. And we've come into a time where the industry is looking forward to making these changes. A lot of the European automotive manufacturers already use hemp in their vehicles. It's usually hidden, usually behind door panels or behind your dash. But now the shift to more sustainable production, more sustainable vehicles, getting rid of the dependence on the oil industry, these manufacturers are really looking forward to utilizing these materials. And nature has created everything around us, created some of the strongest materials known to man, so we can utilize that billions of years of R&D that nature has done to make more sustainable alternatives to fossil fuels, which were great and had their place in time, and plastic is designed to last forever, but it doesn't have to be the end-all, be-all material that can be utilized in these applications.
Amen to that, yeah. You made a trip to Los Angeles last week for a Polestar event. Can you tell me a bit about that event?
Yeah, so Polestar Day is what they call it. They do about 2 of these a year, really large productions, trying to showcase not only innovation and sustainability, but their new lineup. So this is the first time here in the U.S. they've showcased all 6 vehicles and their new race car as a full lineup here in the U.S. We had 3 partners with the Polestar Zero project to actually showcase their materials, and then several panel discussions during the day about the partnership, the collaboration between the materials, and how we're working together to try to reach that carbon neutral vehicle. So it was a great event. It was at the Barker hangar in Santa Monica. Had about 500-600 people there. They were doing test drives of the vehicle, showcasing the new technology in the new lineup as well. And it was a really fantastic event. We hope to continue collaborating with them on this partnership.
Nice. Did you present at the event?
Yeah, we had a kind of a table set up showcasing the Dama Black material. Then we did 3 different panel discussions during the event talking about Dama Black material and how it's implemented in the Polestar Zero project.
Okay. What kinds of questions were you getting from the Polestar people or just attendees at the event?
Yeah, it was really understanding what is it, what are you guys doing? A lot of it was what's carbon black, for example. But really showcasing that this can be done in a very sustainable way using either waste material or biomass. The company next to us at the event, Paper Shell, really fantastic company. They take waste craft paper and reform it into structural wood products that could be for the interiors of vehicles, a little bit more structural than a veneer would normally be. And we're looking at ways to work together to utilize the Dama Black in their production process for protecting the parts from UV degradation.
Nice. So the event sounds amazing. A really good exchange of ideas, and so cool.
It was great. We had a lot of questions. We had hemp stocks on the table, and so there's a lot of questions of what is that? And then as we answered, they were like, well, there's no way that's hemp stocks. That looks too normal. It just looks too, non-threatening
Like
of a
thick.
material.
Yeah.
And so it was great to be able to really show hemp in that way and in such a beautiful way, because Polestar set up the table, thank the Lord. So it wasn't us just putting this thing together like a standard event. I mean, they were really had this stuff out really very nicely put into these translucent boxes, and so it created a storyboard of end of life auto plastics and pretty much end of life ag biomass.
Wow.
Coming together and creating an end product, which was a car part. And so, being able to be a part of that and hopefully, showcasing that hemp not only can be that carbon additive, but can be, into the fabrics and into, all of the other types of, carbon fibers that they, need to be looking at here as well. It's just a perfect, kind of catalyst for us to really be able to showcase hemp on that type of stage.
Yeah.
And the event was put together so well. It was very exciting to be a part of it. And so much to come from it, I see.
Cool. If you can share some photos from that event, I would love to put them on the show page for this episode.
Absolutely.
Cool. So what's next? What happens now with the Polestar project? You're just going to work with them. Tell me what happens next.
Yeah, so we're still in the research phase of the Polestar Zero project. In 2025, they're going to be implementing it into the applied science phase, so putting it into vehicles, doing all the testing, doing the road testing, and then hopefully by 2030, they will have the Polestar Zero vehicle available and on the road for purchase. But throughout that whole process, we are in your advanced engineering department. So basically every vehicle they produce now going forward and how they make it, one, more sustainable. The Polestar 4, I believe, is the lowest carbon footprint vehicle that they will have produced. And they reduced it by about 3 tons of carbon compared to the 3. And they will continue to do that until we hit that 0 mark. But yeah, implementing our material into every vehicle going forward and working with them hand in hand on this collaboration and the other Polestar Zero partners that have been brought in to actually make this a reality. Because there's steel, there's aluminum, there's plastic, there's glass, there's electronics, there's the batteries. All of that has to be at 0 to be able to meet these project goals. So there's, I think, about 30 partners across the globe that are working together hand in hand to make this goal a reality.
It's such a huge and complicated undertaking, but it's like we have to do it, right? Like we have to go down this road. And I don't know if you have an answer for this, but how do we get to scale? Like, are we at the mercy of consumers who are going to demand that their products be sustainable, or are we going to be led by industry, or will this be government mandated? How are we going to get out of this mess?
I think it needs to be a combination of everything, right? There's no silver bullet to solving this problem. And companies like Polestar are working in the right direction with the right mentality, starting from the ground up. We're going to do this. We're not going to build a car unless every part of it is carbon neutral, versus, hey, we're building cars, but let's make the headlights a little bit less carbon positive, or let's make the tires a little less carbon positive. That's a very long road, especially when parts come from, a dozen or 50 different manufacturers to make that final vehicle. Where Polestar said, hey, we're going to find the companies that are doing the right thing, making carbon neutral steel, or carbon neutral aluminum, carbon neutral plastics, and then we'll build the car from the ground up once everything is in place to be able to do so, and then taking that the next step and making a carbon neutral company.
Right. That's exciting, because then you can just apply all of those lessons to like every other thing that's manufactured, right? Like I could have a carbon negative refrigerator.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the best part with that is when you start with automotive, it's so much easier to get it implemented into other industries because you've met the standards of a very, very high set bar, within industries. I don't think there's many other that, are so, strenuous in, setting kind of the, different certifications and, approvals that you have to meet to be able to be even thought of or utilized within the testing. I think medical is maybe the only more stringent. And so being able to get hemp into that type of opportunity really then allows us to, spread it across, the different opportunities and do so in a really positive way. Getting it into 3D printing is something where, it's not only, benefiting the process of, really the viscosity and ability of these formulas, but it's furthering that offset within a process that can only better, our housing issue that we are seeing right now. And so getting the attention on 3D printing through, additional carbon credit generation or additional money to be made for these developers, hopefully we can be, helpful in that manner to ensure that, there's just positive impact happening, every community level possible.
Yeah, right. The medical industry, they use a lot of plastic, right? Imagine if
Sure do.
the medical industry was carbon neutral. Yeah.
Well, and the beauty of it is it's not hard to sell a biocompatible, material to an industry that is maybe using a lot of synthetics, and they are. If we can find more and more opportunities for biocompatible materials to be implemented, the more the better. And this is one that, has a lot of benefits within medical. It's going to take a long time, but absolutely, there's tons of opportunity for that.
And there's a lot at stake if we don't retool our manufacturing, right? So it's important work that you guys are doing, and it's like the only way we're going to survive this century as a culture maybe is to get rid of our carbon positivity.
Oh man. And let me tell you, we've had investors tell us that America cannot bring back manufacturing. It's not economically, effective. And it's those, minds that have definitely pushed it away from the United States to begin with, but it is a necessity. And, luckily we are seeing, that these supply chains can be established and they can be there for, industries like automotive, so that, every part of the supply chain supported with, those types of enhanced opportunities.
Yeah. And it's important, that we have visionaries like you who are pushing this, even though they're saying, oh, no, it can't be done. You're saying, no, it has to be done. And so if we can't imagine, the world we want, then we're never going to get there. So, yeah, congrats to you guys for pushing it. And I love what you're doing. Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience about Dama Black or your plans for growth or anything like that?
Yeah, one thing we're working on right now is verifying new methodologies for the carbon credit generation of the Dama Black material. So we're looking for customers that are looking for carbon credit futures, so they can lock in a good price on a high quality carbon credit before the price continues to rise as it has been over the last several years. We're actually using European registries that really understand what we're doing, because it's still kind of a wild, wild west out here in the U.S. There's a lot of inconsistency and not a lot of oversight here in the U.S., where they've been doing it in Europe for decades. They understand this. They're looking for new methods. They're trying to enter the U.S. market share for the carbon credits. And luckily, we found a fantastic team that is helping us through all of this and making it very simple and easy, especially for our customers when they're looking to reduce their carbon footprint, even if they're not a Dama Black customer. They know that they are buying high quality, verified carbon credits from a U.S. source without the greenwashing that seems to be prevalent in the carbon credit market here in the U.S.
Right. So if people are interested in contacting you, the best way is to go to your website?
Correct. Just damabioplastics.com. You can also find us on Instagram or LinkedIn. Same thing, just search Dama BioPlastics and we'll pop up.
Okay, cool. And I'll put links to all of that stuff on the show page for this episode so listeners can go there too and click and find you.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
So cool. Well, it's great to talk to you guys today. Again, congratulations on this thing with Polestar Zero. That's super exciting. So I really look forward to watching everything just get better and better. So Cole Gibbs and Adam Dietrich, thank you so much. It's great to talk to you guys today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Oh, and just like that, the show comes to an end. It's over. It's time to get out of here. I will put some photos and a short video clip from the Polestar Days event out in LA that these guys were talking about. So check that out, and I'll have links up to the Dama BioPlastics website and those news nugget stories I mentioned before the interview. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Eric Herlock. I am the digital editor at Lancaster Farming newspaper, the greatest agricultural newspaper in the world. Check us out online, get a subscription to our print edition, go watch my magnet fishing video on YouTube. There's so much to do, and thank you for being part of it. So anyway, I hope you have a great Thanksgiving holiday with your family. Until next time, I will see you in the newspaper.
Industrial hemp.
Season 3, Episode 43 of the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. Copyright 2023 by Lancaster Farming newspaper, part of the Steinman Communications family. Today's show is written, recorded, edited, and produced by Eric Harlock. The music you hear throughout the show is courtesy of Tin Bird Shadow.